So we're on episode 29.
We are,
and
hello.
it's Kat and Rich again, as always. And it's just us two, isn't it, this week? So we were kindly joined by Richard Atwood, weren't we?
We were kindly joined by Richard Atwood.
Last week, who was the former F1 driver back in the 60s and 70s, as well as Le Mans winner, first time for Porsche overall in 1970. So he's got some great stories. So if you haven't seen it yet or listened to it, please do. You can watch it on the YouTube channel if you want, in his house. He's got a rather
You don't have to go to his house, it's filmed in his house.
Yes, he's got a rather grand house, hasn't he?
A big house.
You can tell he's been pretty successful over his career, that's for sure. Or of course you can listen to it on the podcast. Just back to us two. So what have we been up to this week then?
Well, we've been down at Porsche again at Silverstone, haven't we? Done a little bit down there.
Yeah.
But we've been working on our own sort of programmes, haven't we, as much as anything else. So we've got a few people who want to do some racing. So we've been putting some packages and programmes together for them, haven't we? So to get ready over the winter and things. Yeah, and
it's getting to the time of year now where obviously it's getting to the tail end of the year. So we've got drivers we're doing sort of winter programmes for to get ready for next year. But obviously new drivers that are wanting to join Veloce Driving for the following year. So which will be great. Great to see. So it's just planning what category is best for them, and then of course getting a development plan in place, because it's not just about the season itself, but it's prior, isn't it, to the season, getting them ready as much as possible in all areas, isn't it? The technical element, the mental element, consistency, physical side as well, which is a big area that perhaps sometimes some drivers don't always think about until they actually get racing cars and realise how hard it can be actually. Which is why we can't say much about it yet, but we're actually also building a Veloce Driving Academy. So this will be joint with some partners in karting and cars, but we can't say too much about it yet. But it's going to cover many areas which, let's just say a lot of academies, you get some of those areas, but we're going to try and merge all of them together with the right expert. So there's been loads going on there, hasn't there? Which has been quite exciting and interesting.
Yeah, a lot going on there. Yeah.
Because when I think back to when I was racing, I think of all the things that I didn't have, and the difference it might have made actually, especially the mental side for me. I think the pressure of the sport and the pressure on the grid, needing to perform, especially with sponsors, being in a team, all that kind of thing. So it's almost nurturing and conditioning people when they're younger, and then going up to do the ranks so they're ready when they're at the top. So so that's been going on, hasn't it, as well?
And then we've been doing some stuff with confidence. So we've been doing some confidence drive type stuff just on the road. But interesting, you've been doing some similar stuff with one of our drivers. You've been doing it on the road and track, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So putting together some different exercises to try and help them and things. Some stuff not in the car. This is out the car, isn't it? To try and help people.
Which then hopefully you see the results in the car. So I did three different exercises for a racing driver I'm looking after, or we're looking after at the moment. And there are various psychological exercises which can then things you don't actually have to do at the track that you can do away from the track that hopefully make a big difference to your mental strength and performance. As we mentioned many times, 80% of performance, once your technical ability is to a certain level, 80% of performance is in the mind, of course. So it's a big area we like to focus on, because if you don't unlock that properly, then unfortunately you can have an amazingly fast driver on the track and unfortunately not see true potential under pressure. And then of course on the road it's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit, but in both scenarios it's not necessarily, it could be other things going on in their lives. So like for racing drivers, they're not performing on track because of something else that's going on in their lives. So we're sort of helping people with that, and that's been the case with the confidence driving on the road a lot of the time, hasn't it? That it's not necessarily about the driving, really. It's about other things that are going on in people's lives, and if you try and improve those a little bit, then their confidence grows in all areas, and then they feel a bit better about the road. And
absolutely,
it's never just one thing. It's never just life's great, but I can't drive on the road because I don't feel very confident. There'll be lots of things and reasons behind that. So.
And all linked together, really, that you have to unlock. So, which I love. I find, working with people and trying to see them develop in many areas, but I think the mental side is probably one of the most rewarding, actually, even more so than the technical side for me personally. But yeah, so we've been keeping busy, that's for sure. There's not enough hours in the day.
No,
at the moment,
there's a lot going on
with that, and working at Porsche, which of course we've been at for a long time and love, and have learned a lot there as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
And a great manufacturer to work for and be associated with. But it's lovely to use a lot of what we've learned and move on to do other things as well with it. So,
yes, I mean, the thing with Porsche for me, I think, is it gives you the opportunity to do lots and lots of coaching.
Absolutely, and in very different environments as well over the years. It's changed a little bit more recently, but over the years it has, hasn't it? And that's the thing compared to a lot of coaches out there where, certainly initially as well, you coach people for a few laps and you can spend days with these people and really get to know them and learn that from a young age. I mean, I started with Porsche when I was 24, so I had to learn how to host and really learn each individual very quickly, and how to get the best out of them very quickly. And that was a bit thrown in the deep end, to be honest, but it definitely did me good, that's for sure.
Oh,
and I think and hopefully it's paying off now.
Yeah.
All these years later, who knows? So moving on to road cars, there's something quite interesting happening, isn't there?
Yes, and I've seen bits and pieces about this around, so I thought I'll dig into it a little bit more. And the thing that caught my eye first of all was it's essentially what looks like a modern, reimagined Lotus 62 from the 60s and 70s, which is a great looking car. But then you dig in a bit deeper, and the people involved with it are really cool. So you've basically it's a combination of Jenson Button, a bloke called Ant Anstead, who, for those of you who are sad like me and like wheeler dealers, he's the guy that took over from Ed China. Now, for me, Wheelie Dealers was Ed China. I know it had the other bloke.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
So this is the bloke who took over from Ed China. So clearly he knows his stuff, and he's a car man and that kind of stuff. And a guy who was a Bugatti, a Bentley and an Aston designer. So they've all got together, and they're involved with a company called Radford. And Radford were a coach builder. So back in the day, in the sort of 40s and 50s, if you bought yourself a Rolls Royce, you didn't necessarily have a body on it. So there were lots of people who coach built them. And the one that Bentley own now is Mulliner. So you can get a Mulliner Bentley, which is all the special bits on it. So essentially they've done that. They've taken Radford, they've taken the Lotus Evora, and they've created this Lotus 62. So and it is a very cool looking thing.
It's interesting because they've used Jenson to develop the chassis and setups. They've used a racing driver to really try and get the best out of it, I suppose.
Yes.
But it looks really spot on. You can get two different types, can't you? So a classic and a gold leaf. Am I right in saying that?
Yes. So you've got a JPS one, black and gold, and you've got the gold leaf one, which is the red with the so Jimmy Clark's cars where we're towards the end of his career.
So, but away from that, I mean, it's got the similar kind of Evora, 3.5 litre supercharged V6. The classic version's 430 brake horsepower.
You get me all Pokemon and don't you to the other.
And then the gold leaf version is about 500 brake horsepower. But what's really cool is they are offering a 6-speed manual or a 7-speed dual clutch. So I love that they're offering both, because many manufacturers are now not doing that. And I think for a lot of people, okay, I know the majority of people want to have an auto, but for drivers, there's still a massive percentage of people that love the pleasure of driving a manual, and it's not necessarily about speed, but involvement, isn't it? And for me, like things like heel and toe and stuff like that I actually taught myself how to do that on the road rather than the racetrack, and then move that into racing and things like that, which I really enjoy. So I think it would be a really special car, but they're only making 62.
They're only making 62.
So imagine that will go up in value.
Oh, it will.
If you're in a position to get one, I mean, it's certainly something I'd imagine will go up over time, won't it?
I mean, what Radford did in the 60s was they rebodied Minis. Again, not many of them. So all the Beatles had one. And Ringo Starr's apparently was designed to fit a drum kit in it. So it was a Radford bodied Mini with a drum kit in it. And that sold recently for over £1 million, that car. So you get a Jenson Button set up Radford. You're not going to go far wrong with that.
Maybe Jenson's owned and driven a bit. Then you're definitely not going to go wrong with that.
No, absolutely.
That's for sure.
Absolutely.
So moving on to driving, then we thought we'd talk about the importance of exits.
It's something that comes up a lot, isn't it, again?
Yeah, in coaching, road or track, we'll talk about track first and then we'll move on to road, but certainly track especially. when people are learning, or even when they're not learning. It's easy to forget and push hard, overdrive, and try and push the entries of the corners a lot and jeopardize the exits.
Yes.
And this can be shown in many ways with video analysis, data, and so on. But we teach it right from the start, don't we, through to elite drivers that need to be reminded sometimes about, extending their straights, let's say.
Yes.
So,
well, if you want a quick win on track, this is your first one, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's concentrate on your exit. So there's a thing, an old adage for motor racing, which is slow in, fast out. Because essentially what you're trying to do is go down straight as quick as you can. You want a drag race between corners almost, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the better your exit is out of the corner that leads onto the straight, the lower your lap times are going to be.
Absolutely.
In a very simple term.
So we talk a lot about trail braking and rotating the car, and I explain a lot to clients that the brakes aren't just about slowing the car down, but about rotating the car and setting it up to get the best exit you possibly can. So best exit being the straightest exit as early as you can, so you can get full throttle down.
Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds perhaps simple. Actually doing it can be another thing, can't it? Because of course, like anybody, you're trying to drive fast at the end of the day. And of course, on the entry, you're trying to push those entries, but it's very easy to extend the corner. And I mean, with very experienced drivers, they still have a tendency to do that, which is why we talk about people like Rob Wilson taking F1 drivers and taking them to an airfield in a Vauxhall Astra and talking about flat car, which is a straight car.
Astras.
Yeah, well, if you say so, but but yeah, and even at that level, still reminding drivers that the car is happiest when it's straight, when it's flat. And it's so important to have your priority be the exit, really.
And we do see it all the time, don't we? That people want to get the throttle on.
Yeah.
I want to get the throttle, and especially if you've not worked on the entry phase yet. So what you'll subconsciously do is you'll feel there's grip in the car. So you think, right, I'll give it some throttle. But of course, you're still trying to get it to change direction. And one analogy I always use to people, if you imagine you're trying to change direction and then you do a wheelie, so in other words, you take the front wheels off the ground, it's not going to go around the corner anymore, is it? And that's essentially what you're doing by degrees.
Yeah.
So you start to feed the power and you're reducing the front end grip, and it's going to not go the way you want it to.
Yeah, so therefore you extend the corner.
Extend
so
the
radius of the corner.
And you get a poor exit.
Yeah, so it's something, whether you are starting to do track days or you're already an experienced racer, it's something to keep working on and never stop, really. And one thing I'd say to anybody is you never stop learning or perfecting your craft. And as I just said with Rob Wilson, with F1 drivers, I mean, they're the elite, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yet they're still having to go to airfields and do this, because you never get to a point where it's like, right, I'm good, I've done that now, that's it, move on. You can always find a little bit more and perfect it a little bit more, which is where I guess us as coaches come in to try and get the best out of the driver all the time, whatever level that might be.
Yeah, because even when you're driving yourself, you find yourself doing things thinking, I tell people this every day,
yeah,
and here I am doing it myself.
Absolutely, I laugh at myself sometimes for exactly that. And doing the most obvious mistakes that we talk about, and thinking, why have I just done that? But impatience, ultimately, or frustration. It depends. This is where the mental side comes in as well. Pressure. There are many aspects to cause you to drive differently. So it's something definitely to have a little think about and focus on. And really, if you're heading out the corner and you're having to either steer more or you're stuck with the steering on, and it's not a sequence of corners, that is, then you need to think about changing your entry into the corner so you're actually unwinding the steering earlier.
Altering your line, perhaps, altering where you're looking, whatever it is.
Yeah.
As Kat says, to try and get that angle right to come off the corner.
Absolutely. So if we move that into road driving, which of course is a different aim and target, isn't it?
Yes. So the thing with road driving is, one of the biggest things with road driving is you've got to be able to stop with the distance you can see, and so you've got to match your speed with what you can see.
Yeah.
So, but we've talked about using road position and things like that, with safety being your priority. But on the exit out on the road, you've always got to make sure that you can easily exit still on your own side of the road. If you then find it's clear and you can use a bit more, that's fine, but you don't want to ever rely on that.
Absolutely.
And of course, you're just dealing with what you can't see, so you've got to wait until you can see out of the corner before you commit yourself to the exit. So as we've always said, the dynamics of what the car's doing are pretty much the same wherever you are.
Yeah.
But your thought processes and your timing and your vision might be slightly different because you've got to work with what you can and can't see on the road. So
but ultimately, you're still trying to straighten the wheel.
You are still trying to do the same things,
and accelerate together at the same time. The amount of clients you meet at Porsche or wherever, they say, "Oh, I had a moment here and the car stepped out, and I was overtaking, and then this happened." And it's basically down to timing, as simple as that. And okay, I know many people say, "Oh, there was oil on the road, or there was this."
Yeah.
And okay, I'm not saying every time that's not the case, but majority of the time it won't be.
No.
It will be. They've seen, I can go now, and their foot's going down quicker than they're straightening the wheel. And of course, the front and the back aren't working in time together. And at some point, something's going to give.
Something's going to give, that's right.
And quite often, if it's very heavy-footed, it's going to be the back, ultimately.
Yes.
Depending, obviously, what you're driving. But, a lot of people we deal with have very powerful cars, don't they? So it has a tendency to do that. So, even on the road, you can still, of course, enjoy your driving and perfect your driving, whether it's about safety or just sheer enjoyment and trying to time things as best as possible. And of course, steering and power and making the front and back work together, even the way you brake. We've talked about trail braking, we've got a video on it, and we demonstrated that on the road.
We did.
Because physics still remain the same.
Yes.
Okay, we're driving slower, but why not work with the car on the road like you would do a circuit ultimately, and make it as fluid as possible. So so lots of things you can think about there. Hopefully, any questions, get in touch. It's really nice to hear from everybody. So please, on any social media accounts or through the website, obviously as well, feel free. So the next exciting thing is motorsport, of course. So we've just watched the Monza sprint race. Now, straight away, I'm going to say, I know I put this on social media for the first sprint race they did and got real mixed feedback of who liked it and who didn't and why. I have to say, I'm a massive fan.
Oh, yeah.
For me, I did think about the qualifying on the Friday might be a bit of a mix, but actually, Ross Brawn, that's it, just confirmed the numbers, viewers for the Friday has gone up like tenfold, apparently, because there's more for people to watch on the Friday that perhaps aren't as sad and anarchy as us, where we're watching all the practices.
Well, it's at the right time, isn't it? It's like tea time, isn't it?
Yeah, so exactly. So you get to watch the qualifying. For me, you get to watch more racing. So what's bad about that from a spectator's perspective? But not just that. I think it means for drivers with less budgets, or the cars aren't as quick. I should think teams with less budgets. It means they get thrown into the mix a bit more because they have less to lose, don't they? So it really mixes the grid and makes it a bit more exciting for the Sunday, doesn't it?
It does. And I think overall what we've enjoyed is the jeopardy of it. Yeah. Because if you're Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton, you're thinking, right, I've got to get a clean start. And but the McLarens behind are thinking, well, we're coming through. Yeah,
exactly, because we've got almost nothing to lose.
Yes.
And of course, they do in some respects, but in comparison, they're not fighting for a championship. So it's a very different outlook at the start of the race for them. And we saw it again today, didn't we, really?
Yeah.
Bottas, I have to say, drove faultlessly. He did Friday with qualifying, bearing in mind he was towing Lewis around, and he still pulled the lap out the bag. I think a lot of that, I've said all along, with Valtteri is mental. And he's got some security now, a multi-year deal. Okay, not with Mercedes, so he is being dropped, but I think having that security that he's still in Formula One, and perhaps he's just not very happy at Mercedes.
Yeah, maybe it's a relief.
And it's a relief, and straight away we're seeing the old Valtteri back, I think. And you can see he just seems more relaxed, more himself. So it was a joy to see him in qualifying do so well, but also, in the sprint race, he didn't put a foot wrong, so you can't say anything about that. But unfortunately, for the main race, because of they've changed parts of the engine.
They've changed quite a lot of bits, I think.
Yeah, so he's going to have to start at the back of the grid. But I think he's not fussed about that. He knows he's not fighting for the championship, and actually sometimes some of your best races are from the back, the most exciting. So and the pressure's off in a way for him. So
I think he's starting from the pit lane. I think I've seen.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were starting from
Well,
the
they were
back.
saying, so Gasly, so these are the thing with the jeopardy. So Gasly made a blinder of a start, and then very slightly bumped into Daniel Ricciardo, didn't he?
Yeah, in the chicane.
And that was the end of that. He was off, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, the wing
So he
broke,
started with
didn't
the pit
it?
lane, and he said, "I'm starting with Valtteri." He said. So.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But yeah, so difficult one for Gasly because he did do a brilliant start. He's been faultless. And that first chicane. Well, anybody who knows Monza, whether you just watched it or you've driven around it, it is so tight. So overtakes there is always at risk. And of course, it wasn't much of an impact, but enough to break the front wing effectively. Which, of course, and then what was it turned to?
Yeah, just tucked under the front of it. Didn't it?
And caused him pretty much then to lose the front end, and that was that really. But great for the McLarens.
Yeah, so Ricciardo, is he back on form, do we think? So Ricciardo drove brilliantly.
Well,
so he finished third.
He said he needed the summer break, and I think he's spoken quite openly about not seeing his family, his friends, being away all the time, all because
he's not been
COVID.
home for like 2 years, has he?
And I think that really affected him, and going home and getting to be the old Daniel Ricciardo without the Formula One bit attached, and just go and relax and spend time with friends and family. I think he's come back, and we're seeing the Ricciardo that we expected to see at the start of the season. And I hope it continues. So he's starting front row tomorrow, which is the first time since, what is it, 2015
Since
or
he
something?
was at
or
Red
20...
Bull, I guess, is it?
No, they're saying for McLaren.
Oh,
First
for
time
McLaren,
since
sorry, I thought you meant Daniel.
2018 or 2015, something like that.
I guess so,
So great achievement for him. I thought Lando Norris did brilliantly because he kept Lewis behind, because of course Lewis had a terrible start,
he didn't move off the start.
Really didn't move.
And he's trying to, he's too much worse for him, and now he's almost talking himself out of it now, because he's saying, well, the Red Bull's so much quicker, and it's this and it's that, and it should be an easy win for them. And you think, well, Mercedes were quicker than Red Bull all weekend by quite a lot as well.
But he does that every time, and I think that's also
to take the pressure off himself.
Absolutely, to take the pressure off himself, because if he convinces himself of that, there's less pressure, so then all he can do is move forwards. If he goes there thinking, I mean, everybody copes with it differently, and that clearly is something that works for him, is put all the pressure on the other team rather than him. So he's not the focus, and that's what he's done again post interview race. He was very, very clear about that, wasn't he?
Yes.
He says that every single time.
Absolutely.
So, and then there's rapid. So,
totally.
You can't,
because it could go either way. It's a long way to the first corner at Monza. So he could be in the lead coming out the first corner, or he could, he's going to get attacked by Leclerc and Sainz.
Yeah. Well, it'd be amazing if he does get the lead. I mean, he's starting fourth tomorrow, and he's starting on the dirty side, not the clean side. So, he's got a lot there to deal with, but you never know. I mean, we saw today with Gasly, we saw with Ricciardo, you can gain a lot. So we'll have to just wait and see on that one. But no, it's nice to see him back on form. Norris did really well to deal with the pressure of Hamilton the entire race.
Yeah,
I know
soaked it up really, didn't he, Orlando?
He did. He's somebody who seems to deal with that kind of pressure, and whether he's really chilled or not is another thing. But he certainly gives off that impression, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Which works quite well. And the Ferraris, I think, couldn't do any better than they did.
No, I mean, it sounds like Leclerc's not very well.
Yeah.
Because he was feeling sick. Sainz had a massive shunt this morning.
He did, and I think it's a shame because he really isn't sure why. And the problem is then for a driver, if you don't know why you've crashed, that's going to really impede your confidence in a race, because if you know what's happened, whether it's your fault or a car failure, but when there's this big question mark of I don't really know what happened, and he said in the interview that I wasn't pushing, I don't really know what happened, and I was listening to Damon Hill talk about it, and he said it seemed very weird how the revs picked up, sort of accelerating towards the wall and all this sort of stuff. So whether there is some sort of glitch, who knows, but yeah, difficult one for him and his team, because of course he's had a few incidents now before the main race, and they've had to try and prepare the car quickly for the race day. So but the main thing is they finished in sequence. I don't think they would have got any higher up, to be honest.
No,
I just don't
they both
think
said
the
that. I don't
cars,
think they're quick enough, are they?
are quick enough, unfortunately. So it is what it is.
Small aircraft come to join us.
Yeah, for some
you
reason.
Go away, yeah.
So we'll wait for tomorrow. But big fan of the sprint race.
Yeah, we think it works, don't we?
Definitely get in touch. Let us know whether you think we should keep it or whether they should drop it. Let us know. I'd love to know your thoughts, especially second time round, because the first time nobody likes change. There was a lot of defence. So second time round, what are people's thoughts now? Now they've seen it for a second time. Did they really enjoy it? Do they think it's good for the whole grid, that kind of thing, or not? Or would they rather just see it as it used to be? So we'll see. So yeah, moving on to the interactive question then.
Yes. So,
interesting
one this, because we were talking about the Radford 62 earlier on, and there's a few things around, like Renault have just shown their new Renault 5. Which I think is electric, obviously, and it's what classic car?
Electric as in it's electric, not
it's not. It's exciting. It's not cosmic. Yeah. What classic car would you like to see a modern version of? I know what you're going to say. Give me an AG Cobra, innit?
Well, do you know what? That's what happens every time. Is we somehow have different questions, and I always have the same answer. I don't know how that happens. No, if it wasn't, honestly, it'd be the F40, Ferrari F40. I'd love to see Ferrari
that'd be cool.
Bring that back to life as a modern F40. I think that was such an iconic Ferrari. I know an incredibly hard car to drive, and I'd love to see some modern technology, but with the old retro style of an F40 merged together. I think for me,
I like that.
What about you?
Well, this is a bit of a random one, just because I saw one the other day. I remember when I was tiny, when I was about 4 or 5 years old, we went on holiday to Tenerife. We went twice actually, and both times my dad hired a Fiat 126, which was kind of born out of a Fiat 500. It was like so I'd love to see a modern 126 Fiat.
Why?
I don't think I'd buy one. I think it'd be cool. Well, I can't.
You wouldn't even buy it yourself.
I think it would look cool. Well, it's like I saw the Renault 5 and I thought that was kind of like a Renault 5, that.
Yeah.
Which I suppose is probably the point. So I need to come up with a better answer then, don't I? Really?
Well, no, you can't have something that said, I'd love to see that, but I wouldn't buy it.
I just think, I love the 126 because you could fit one in this room quite happily, tiny little thing.
I mean, I wouldn't buy an F40, but that's not because I wouldn't want to.
No.
I certainly would want to, I just couldn't afford to. That's the only thing.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So let us know what you think then. So if you could, I guess, what would you say? I was going to say reborn, but that's not right.
That's not reimagine. No, there's a word for it, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that. If you'd love to see a new version of a classic car, what would it be and why? So get in touch. We'd love to. You can put it on the channel. You can, as you know, social media, all that stuff. You can. And
Nick Arnold, you can't have Mustang.
Yeah. Before you say Nick, you're not allowed. Mustang's banned, just like the AC Cobra is for me. Okay, so has to be a different answer this week. So next week, obviously more car news. Obviously loads of things coming up, lots of changes in the car industry anyway, and cars are sort of moving again now with this chips shortage that we have had across the industry. So there'll be more news on that. Also, the Indy cars are this weekend, so we'll discuss kind of the results of that, won't we?
So the Italian Grand Prix and it's Portland Indy cars. Which is
all
coming up to a boil now because there's first and second in the IndyCar Championship are two of the youngsters. So Pato was leading it and Alex Palau's second. So it's really probably a change in the guard going on in IndyCar.
About Pato Ward maybe going to Formula One, aren't
they? Well, Zach's promised him a test, hasn't he? I think he might do the young driver test. So
so it'll be very interesting to see, because I do feel like IndyCar now is back in its prime, and you're seeing a lot more
a lot of big names.
Kind of attachment between Formula One and IndyCar, sports cars together. So so I think
so there's people who were knocking on the door of F1 and now going over there, like Callum Ilot's racing this weekend.
Because I just think people know that there isn't many slots in F1, but that doesn't mean you're not good enough. So where else do you go, which is, and if you look just at as good or if not better to race in. So,
and if you look at something like Dario Franchitti, how it was the making of him going over there, and he didn't want to do F1. He got offered the test and he was like, I'm all right here, thanks.
Well, that happened actually with Danica Patrick. She got offered an F1 drive and turned it down. Because she was having such a great time in America and earning great money, and thought, why risk all this? For what could be, and at the time was Virgin, I think, that offered it, and of course they were nowhere, so why jeopardise that? I mean, it would have been a great publicity thing for Formula One, but I think she was having such a great time there and doing so well, why risk all of that for that, really? So we'll be talking about that. So more car news, of course. We'll be announcing some more drivers some will be drivers, of course, but people in the industry across the board. So we're getting quite a few people that have said yes, which is really exciting. So we're just gradually booking them in and trying to spread them out, because of course the motorsport season will gradually slow down, so we'll want more specials to share with you, and interviews, so we're trying to spread those out as well. But yeah, if you haven't listened to the Richard Attwood interview yet, please do, or watch.
It's well worth it.
It's well worth it. It's just, for me, it was a real reminder of how different motorsport used to be back then to what it is now, and in a way, and I mean this in the best way possible, how amateurish it was, in the fact that, you know, they compared to the money they spend on it today, and but also how dangerous it was, and what kind of mentality you had to have back then to what you do today. We still know it's dangerous and we still lose people, but compare back to then, you know, it's nothing.
No.
So some really interesting stories there, so definitely give that a listen. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening. I know it's a short one this week, but we've got some exciting stuff coming up. So please get in touch and hopefully hear from you soon.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.